The stars stretched across the blackness like scattered diamonds. Humanity's fleet floated silently in the void, massive ships lined in perfect formation. Each vessel gleamed under the faint light of distant suns, and the hum of their engines filled the empty silence. To anyone looking from outside, it seemed calm. Too calm. Admiral Kieran Voss stood on the bridge of the flagship Resolute, his eyes scanning the holographic display. Lines of blinking light showed nearby planets, asteroids, and the edges of the fleet. Everything appeared normal. Too normal. "Captain, we're receiving a faint signal from an uncharted sector," reported Lieutenant Miritan, her fingers flying over the console. Her voice carried the subtle tension of someone who sensed trouble brewing. Voss leaned forward. "Can we identify it?" Mira shook her head. "Not yet. The signal is unusual. No pattern I recognize." Voss frowned. For years, humanity had explored nearby star systems, mapping planets, claiming resources, and defending colonies. They had seen a lot. Asteroid storms, rogue comets, even hostile space fauna. But this was something new. Something that made the hair on the back of his neck stand up. "Keep monitoring," Voss ordered. "Alert me if it changes." He turned to look at the bridge crew. Young officers, seasoned veterans, all of them tense. Most of them had never faced real combat. They had been trained, drilled, taught strategy, but nothing could prepare anyone for the first glimpse of a real threat. Outside the fleet, deep in the darkness, something stirred. A shadow moved faster than any human ship. It flickered past the edges of sensors, leaving no trace except a growing pulse of energy. It was silent, cold, and deliberate. Back on the bridge, the lights flickered as the signal grew stronger. Screens showed strange readings, energy spikes, unknown ship signatures, and then, suddenly, a warning. "Admiral," said Lieutenant Tan, her voice barely above a whisper. "Multiple contacts. Huge numbers. They're coming." Voss froze. He had hoped it was a false alarm, a sensor glitch. But the data left no doubt. Something massive was heading toward them. "Status report," he barked, his voice echoing across the bridge. "Unknown fleet, Admiral. Thousands of ships. No identification. Speed. Impossible for any known human engine," said the tactical officer. Voss's jaw tightened. He had faced threats before, pirates, rogue colonies, even alien life forms on the fringe, but nothing like this. This was an organized armada, a force beyond anything humanity had prepared for. The crew scrambled. Orders were shouted. Ships were repositioned. Shields activated. Pilots ran through checklists. Weapon systems powered up, and the hum of the fleet became a roar of readiness. And still, the unknown armada approached. On the observation deck of the Resolute, Voss watched the dark expanse ahead. A chill ran through him. The stars seemed to dim as if the universe itself held its breath. There were no warning signs, no chatter, no chance to reason with these invaders. Only the silent promise of destruction. "Sir," said a communications officer, "they're transmitting a signal, but it's not language. Not like anything we've ever seen." Voss's hands clenched. He studied the strange patterns. Sharp pulses, jagged waves of energy, almost like a heartbeat, but faster. Too fast. It wasn't a greeting. It was a negotiation. It was a warning. Or a threat. The first warning shots came before anyone could even react. A beam of energy, bright and searing, cut across space toward the leading human cruiser. The impact rocked the ship, sending alarms blaring through the fleet. "Shields holding at 50%, shouted an officer. Voss's mind raced. The fleet was trained, armed, ready, but never for this. Not for something that could destroy ships faster than they could fire back. He clenched his fists, forcing his fear down. Form defensive lines. Protect the colonies. Do not let them through. The fleet responded instantly. Smaller ships darted to intercept, firing lasers, missiles, and experimental plasma rounds. Explosions lit the darkness as alien vessels seemed to shrug off attacks that would destroy human ships. On the Resolute, Voss watched as a young pilot, barely out of training, took a daring maneuver to avoid an alien strike. He knew the kid might not survive. And yet, he did. The spirit of humanity burned in every action, every brave move. Voss's heart pounded. Humanity's fleet was about to face the greatest challenge in its history. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and untested against this alien force. And yet, in the quiet moments between alarms and explosions, he felt something strange. Hope. Hope that humanity could survive. Hope that courage, ingenuity, and sheer stubbornness could tip the balance. And then the signal changed. A new wave of energy, faster, brighter, more precise, shot across the void. It wasn't aimed at the fleet. It was aimed at Earth's colonies. Voss's eyes widened. They're coming for everything. All of it. The calm had ended. The storm had begun. The darkness of space seemed heavier now. Humanity's fleet moved cautiously, every ship alert, every sensor watching for the enemy. The alien armada loomed ahead, enormous and alien in shape, their ships twisting and glowing with energy that no human engineer had ever seen. Admiral Kieran Voss stood on the bridge of the Resolute, watching the alien formation spread across the void like a storm ready to strike. He felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. Thousands of human lives rested on his orders, and one wrong move could cost everything. Admiral, they are closing in faster than expected, Lieutenant Miritan said. Her fingers flew over the console, trying to track the alien vessels. Their approach vectors are unpredictable. They avoid all natural hazards and obstacles. It's like they can anticipate our moves. Voss clenched his jaw. Prepare the fleet. Every ship must be ready to fire the moment they breach our perimeter. Even as the fleet formed defensive lines, tension rippled through every human crew. Pilots exchanged nervous glances, engineers double-checked shields, and soldiers gripped their stations tightly. Outside the hull, the alien ships floated silently, an ominous shadow over humanity's fleet. Then the first attack came. Without warning, alien energy beams lanced through space, striking the front line of human ships. Explosions lit up the darkness, shaking the fleet and sending alarms blaring through the bridges. Shields at 20% on the Intrepid, shouted a tactical officer. They're too strong. Voss's mind raced. Retreat was impossible. The aliens were already too close, and human colonies were within their path. Every decision mattered. Every maneuver counted. Divert fighters to flank their left side, Voss ordered. Use asteroid fields as cover. Make them pay for every inch of space they take. Small human fighters darted forward, weaving through the asteroid belt. Explosions and energy beams lit the void as they engaged alien skirmishers. Some fighters were destroyed instantly, leaving trails of burning metal behind, but others managed to strike alien ships, showing that human ingenuity could still make a difference. Captain Voss, said the communications officer, we are receiving transmissions from the aliens. It's not language, but it's repeating patterns. They are coordinating, highly organized. Voss frowned. They are not mindless. They are thinking, calculating. They know what we will do before we do it. From the observation deck, Voss watched a small human cruiser spin helplessly as an alien warship fired. The blast tore through the hull, sending sparks and debris floating in zero gravity. The human ship's crew scrambled in panic. But then, something remarkable happened. A young pilot, barely 20, dodged another alien strike with a bold maneuver, striking back with a precise shot that crippled the alien vessel. A cheer went up from the nearby ships. Even in the face of fear, humans were fighting back. But the victory was brief. More alien ships surged forward, moving in patterns that no human pilot had trained for. The fleet was pushed back inch by inch. Admiral, we're losing ground, shouted the tactical officer. If this continues, the colonies are at risk. Voss's heart pounded. He knew this was only the beginning. Humanity's fleet was strong, but the alien numbers were staggering. Yet, even in the face of despair, he refused to give up. We hold, he said firmly. We adapt. Humanity has faced impossible odds before. We will not break now. Suddenly, the sensors flashed with a new threat. An enormous alien vessel, larger than any other, emerging from the shadows of a nearby nebula. Its hull pulsed with energy, like a living organism, and it moved toward a human formation with terrifying speed. Voss took a deep breath. All hands, brace for impact. This is no ordinary battle. This is survival. Explosions erupted around the fleet. Beams of energy lanced across the void, striking human ships. The Resolute shook as the enemy fire hit its shields. Smoke and sparks filled the corridors as alarms screamed. "Admiral!" shouted Lieutenant Tan. "The flagship is being targeted. Their main weapon is locking on." Voss's eyes narrowed. This was the moment that would define the battle. Humanity's fleet, battered and outnumbered, faced an enemy they barely understood. And yet in the chaos, he saw courage everywhere. Pilots risking their lives, engineers keeping engines running despite damage, soldiers fighting to defend every inch of space. The alien armada closed in. Humanity's fleet braced for the storm. And somewhere deep in the blackness, the first true test of human courage and ingenuity was about to begin. Explosions rocked the void. The human fleet shook as beams from the alien flagship tore through shields and hulls. Smoke and sparks filled corridors, alarms screamed, and every crew member fought to stay alive. Admiral Kieran Voss gripped the railing of the Resolute's bridge, his eyes scanning the holographic display. The alien fleet moved with terrifying precision. Every time humans tried to strike, the aliens seemed to anticipate it, adjusting instantly. "Sir, we've lost 2 cruisers already," shouted Lieutenant Miritan. "They're cutting through our lines like a knife." Voss's jaw tightened. "Form a defensive wedge. Protect the colonies at all costs. We may be outnumbered, but we are not defeated." The fleet shifted, human ships weaving into a tighter formation. Fighters darted between larger ships, using asteroids and debris as cover. The smaller vessels struck quickly, then retreated before alien weapons could hit them. It was dangerous, but it worked, at least for now. A young pilot named Jace Calloway zipped through the battlefield in his fighter, his hands steady on the controls despite the chaos around him. He dodged a beam from an alien destroyer and fired a missile that tore through its hull. "Nice shot, Calloway," came the crackling voice of his wingman. But the victory was short-lived. Another alien cruiser appeared, larger than any they had seen before. It fired a wave of energy that hit multiple human ships at once. Sparks flew, shields faltered, and panic spread. Voss knew they had to act quickly. He turned to his tactical officer. "We need a diversion, something they won't expect." The officer hesitated, then nodded. "There's an asteroid field near the edge of the system. If we lure them in, we can use it to our advantage. They won't navigate it as easily as we can." Voss made a decision. "Do it. All units. Fall back toward the asteroid belt. Draw them in." The fleet obeyed, retreating in tight formation. The alien ships followed, confident and deadly. The moment they entered the dense asteroid field, human ships darted in between rocks, firing from cover. Several alien vessels were struck by collisions or ambush attacks. "Direct hit," shouted one officer. "We damaged their command cruiser." But the cost was high. Several human ships were destroyed, and debris floated like deadly shrapnel. The fleet had slowed the alien advance, but the enemy was relentless. Voss's eyes scanned the battlefield. He saw a young engineer working frantically on a damaged weapon system. A soldier tried to fix a failing shield generator. He saw courage everywhere, and it filled him with pride. Humanity may be small in number, but their ingenuity was unmatched. Suddenly, a massive energy wave hit the Resolute. The ship shuddered violently, throwing crew members off their feet, shields at 30%. "They're targeting us directly," shouted the tactical officer. Voss took a deep breath. "Prepare countermeasures. Divert all power to forward shields. Fire everything we have when they come into range." The Resolute launched its weapons, missiles streaking toward the alien flagship. Explosions lit the void. One missile struck perfectly, creating a shockwave that rocked the alien vessel. For a moment, it seemed like victory was possible, but then the alien flagship fired back. A beam of energy ripped through space, striking the human line and destroying several ships instantly. Smoke, fire, and debris filled the void. Voss gritted his teeth. Humanity was outmatched, but not outwitted. "We hold our ground," he said firmly. "We fight smarter. We fight harder. And we survive." In the chaos, a young pilot managed to sneak behind the alien cruiser, striking a weak point in its hull. It erupted in flames, spinning out of control. The bridge crew cheered, but Voss knew the battle was far from over. The alien fleet still outnumbered them, and their main weapon was still active. He looked at his crew, exhausted, scared, but determined. "Remember this moment," he said. "We may be losing ships, but we are showing them that humanity does not surrender. Not now. Not ever." The fleet regrouped, battered but alive, ready for the next wave of attacks. The first strike was over. Humanity had survived, but at a cost, and the war in the void had only just begun. The void was filled with the smoke of battle. Human ships drifted among the wreckage of destroyed fighters, their lights flickering against the darkness of space. The fleet had survived the first strike, but the cost was heavy. Hundreds of brave pilots and crew were gone, and the alien armada still loomed. Admiral Kieran Voss stood on the bridge of the Resolute, his face grim. The sensors were alive with signals, some from the alien ships, some from the colonies under threat. He knew brute force alone would not win this fight. Humanity needed a plan, something clever, something unexpected. Lieutenant Miratan worked at the communications console. "Admiral, I think we can decipher part of their transmissions. It's complex, but I see a pattern. They are not just attacking. They're coordinating, sharing information. They're learning from us." Voss leaned forward, studying the data. "Learning? How?" "They're adapting," Mira explained. "Every move we make, they adjust, but there's something else, a weakness. Their communications have a small delay when they transmit long-range commands. If we can exploit it, we might be able to disrupt their formation." Voss's eyes narrowed. "Show me." Mira typed rapidly, manipulating the alien signal. Lines of code and energy patterns danced across the screen. A faint smile crossed her face. "Here, if we send a counter-signal, we can scramble their coordination for a few critical seconds. It won't destroy them, but it might give us a chance to strike their main weapon." Voss nodded. "Do it, and prepare the fleet. When we act, we strike together. We hit fast and hard." While the scientists worked on the signal, the human fleet kept moving, avoiding alien fire and protecting the colonies. Explosions lit the void as fighters performed daring maneuvers, and larger ships used energy shields to block the alien beams. Meanwhile, deep inside the Resolute, the engineers prepared experimental weapons. Missiles loaded with new plasma warheads, energy cannons calibrated to maximum power, all ready to fire once the signal scramble worked. Suddenly, the sensors picked up movement near one of the outer colonies. An alien scouting ship had slipped through the defenses. "Admiral, they're targeting New Eden Colony," reported a communications officer. "If they strike, millions of civilians are at risk." Voss's face hardened. "Send a squadron. Intercept them before they reach the planet. Protect our people at all costs." Fighters leapt into action, weaving through asteroid fields and alien fire. The human pilots moved with precision and courage, despite knowing the enemy was stronger. In a daring move, one pilot rammed the scouting ship, disabling it, while others destroyed its energy core. Back on the Resolute, Mira finished the signal scramble. "It's ready, Admiral. Once we send it, their fleet will falter for exactly 37 seconds. Voss took a deep breath. 37 seconds. That's all we need. He gave the order. The counter-signal shot through space, invisible to the naked eye but powerful enough to reach every alien ship. Almost immediately, the enemy formation wavered. Ships paused, beams misfired, and chaos rippled through the armada. "Now!" Voss shouted. "Fire everything." Human ships unleashed a barrage. Missiles streaked through space. Plasma beams cut alien hulls, and fighters darted to the chaos, striking with precision. Alien ships exploded, one after another, and for the first time, humanity gained the upper hand. But the victory was fleeting. From the shadows, a massive alien command vessel emerged, its energy core glowing like a heartbeat. It fired a beam that struck the Resolute, sending the flagship tumbling and shaking the entire fleet. Voss gritted his teeth. They adapt too quickly. We need more than weapons. We need strategy, courage, and everything humanity has. In the darkness of space, Voss realized something. Humanity had survived impossible odds before, not because they were stronger, but because they were clever, brave, and relentless. And this battle, terrifying as it was, would be no different. The alien command ship loomed closer. The colonies were still in danger, and the war in the void had only just revealed its deadliest secrets. The fleet was battered, but not broken. Fires burned across several human ships, hulls were scarred, and the alien armada still pressed forward. Yet, somewhere deep in the Resolute, Admiral Kieran Voss felt a spark of hope. Humanity had discovered a weakness, and now it was time to act. Status report. Voss demanded, his voice cutting through the chaos of the bridge. Lieutenant Mira Tan's fingers flew over the console. Signal scramble is ready again, Admiral. If we coordinate, we can disrupt their fleet long enough to strike their command vessel directly. Voss nodded. Good. Prepare all squadrons. This is our chance. We hit fast, we hit smart, and we hit together. Outside, the void was alive with motion. Fighters darted between debris and asteroids, weaving in and out of enemy fire. Larger ships braced their shields as energy beams flashed across the darkness. Every human in the fleet knew the stakes. One mistake, and the colonies would fall. The first wave of human fighters launched toward the alien armada, moving in synchronized patterns to confuse the enemy. Missiles streaked from the Resolute and other cruisers, striking alien ships and forcing them to change formation, divert secondary weapons, focus fire on the command ship. Voss ordered. The alien command vessel pulsed with energy, its shields glowing brighter with each attack. It unleashed waves of energy that tore through human lines. One cruiser exploded in a flash of light, sending debris across the void. The fleet shuddered, but Voss refused to waver. Now, he shouted. Mira activated the signal scramble. Across the alien fleet, systems faltered, weapons misfired, and formation broke apart. For 37 critical seconds, chaos reigned among the invaders. Human ships surged forward, exploiting the moment. Fighters flew daring loops, striking at weak points. Missiles tore through alien shields, and energy beams found cracks in their armor. One after another, enemy vessels fell, spinning helplessly into the void. Even in the heat of battle, human courage shone. A young pilot, barely out of training, flew straight through a hail of fire to deliver a critical strike on a heavily armed alien cruiser. Another squadron used asteroids as cover to flank the enemy, destroying multiple vessels in a single maneuver. But the counterattack was dangerous. Human ships took heavy damage, and many fighters were lost. Explosions lit the darkness as the alien flagship responded, its main beam tearing through formation and striking a human cruiser. Voss's hands clenched around the railing. Hold the line. Protect the colonies. Humanity doesn't surrender. Amid the chaos, engineers on the Resolute worked frantically to boost weapon systems. Plasma cannons roared, missiles launched, and every ship pushed to its limit. For the first time, it seemed the human fleet could match the alien power, not in size, but in courage, strategy, and determination. Then, something extraordinary happened. The alien command ship faltered. Its shields flickered, systems overloaded from the relentless attacks and the signal scramble. Human forces pressed their advantage, targeting the ship with everything they had. Direct hit, a tactical officer shouted. We've damaged their core. Voss felt a surge of pride. Humanity, though smaller in number, had struck a decisive blow. Yet he knew the battle was far from over. The alien armada was vast, and their deadliest weapons were still active. The fleet had survived this wave, but only just. In the silence after the attacks, Voss looked at his crew, exhausted, battered, yet unbroken. Remember this, he said. We fight not because it's easy, but because we are human, and we never give up. The void around them was littered with wreckage, both human and alien. Fires burned across damaged ships, but in the chaos, humanity had shown its greatest strength. Courage, ingenuity, and the will to survive. The counterattack had worked, but the war was far from over. The alien command ship remained, threatening the colonies, and the fleet would have to strike again, bigger, smarter, and braver than ever before. The void was a storm of fire and energy. Human ships, battered and scarred, moved with precision through the wreckage of the alien fleet. The Resolute led the charge, its hull cracked but its engines strong, carrying the will of humanity into the heart of danger. Admiral Kieran Voss stood on the bridge, his eyes locked on the alien command ship. Its shields flickered, glowing with pulses of deadly energy, but cracks were forming. Every human ship, every pilot, every engineer on the fleet knew this was their moment. Target their core. Voss ordered. Focus fire. We take them down today or we lose everything. Fighters surged forward, weaving through explosions and energy beams. Missiles streaked past alien defenses, striking weak points identified by human scientists. Every move was daring, risky, and precise. Humanity's ingenuity was on full display. Jace Calloway, the young pilot who had survived the first strike, led a squadron through a narrow gap in the alien defenses. "Stay close," he called. "We hit together, or we don't hit at all." They launched a coordinated strike, striking the alien vessel from multiple angles. Plasma cannons fired, missiles exploded, and energy beams carved through the alien armor. For the first time, the enemy was on the defensive. "Shields down on the right flank," shouted an officer. "We can push through." Voss nodded. "All units, push forward. Humanity fights as one." The alien flagship roared in response, firing a devastating beam across the void. One human cruiser exploded, sending debris spinning in every direction. But the human fleet did not falter. Fighters darted around the blast. Capital ships absorbed the hits, and engineers worked furiously to maintain power. Amid the chaos, human courage shone brightest. Pilots flew straight into enemy fire to deliver critical strikes. Engineers repaired weapon systems in real time. Soldiers coordinated boarding maneuvers on smaller alien ships, capturing technology that could turn the tide. Finally, the moment arrived. A coordinated volley of missiles, plasma beams, and energy strikes slammed into the alien command ship's core. The vessel shook violently, alarms screaming, systems failing. One massive explosion tore through its hull, sending a shockwave across the battlefield. The alien flagship spun out of control, crippled and burning. The alien fleet faltered, confusion spreading through their ranks. Human ships pressed the attack, targeting the remaining vessels. One by one, the alien ships fell, retreating into the darkness. Voss exhaled, his face wet with sweat and relief. Humanity had struck back and won a decisive victory. The fleet was battered, many lives lost, but the colonies were safe. For now, on the Resolute, the crew cheered, though their voices were tempered by exhaustion and grief. Survivors gathered around the bridge, their eyes reflecting both triumph and sorrow. Voss addressed them, his voice steady and proud. "We have done what many thought impossible. We stood against an overwhelming force and survived. But this victory is not just about ships or weapons. It is about courage, ingenuity, and the human spirit. Humanity does not give up. Humanity does not surrender." For a moment, the void was silent, save for the hum of human ships. The battle was won, but the scars of war remained. Humanity had proven it could face any threat, but the cost had been high. And somewhere deep in the dark edges of space, Voss knew there were other threats, waiting and watching. Humanity had struck back, but the war in the stars was far from over. The fleet regrouped, battered but alive, carrying the message across the void. Humanity may be small, but was unstoppable when united. And this day, the day humanity struck back, would be remembered forever. The void was quiet now, save for the hum of human ships and the drifting wreckage of battle. Fires burned on some of the surviving vessels, and the black expanse was dotted with the remnants of the alien fleet. Humanity had won, but the cost was heavy. Admiral Kieran Voss stood on the bridge of the Resolute, surveying the scene. His fleet was battered. Many ships were destroyed, and countless brave souls had been lost. Yet, amidst the ruin, there was pride. Humanity had faced an overwhelming enemy and survived. "Status report," Voss said, his voice steady but tinged with exhaustion. Lieutenant Mira Tan checked the sensors. "Most surviving ships are operational, Admiral." The alien fleet is retreating. Their command vessel is destroyed. Our colonies are safe for now. Voss nodded, his eyes scanning the stars. Humanity had struck back, fought with courage, and shown its ingenuity. Even the young pilots, barely trained, had risked their lives to protect billions across the colonies. Every crew member had played a part in this impossible victory. He walked to the observation deck. Below, the wreckage floated silently, a graveyard of metal and fire. But above it all, the stars shone bright, unchanged by the chaos that had passed through the void. It was a reminder. Life continued and humanity endured. In the fleet, crews began repairing ships, tending to the wounded, and salvaging what they could from the destroyed vessels. Engineers worked tirelessly to restore shields, weapons, and engines. Humanity had survived the battle, but they knew they had to prepare for the future. Admiral, Mira said quietly, joining him on the deck, they're gone for now, but they'll come back. Something this powerful won't stay defeated for long. Voss placed a hand on her shoulder. Then we will be ready. We've learned from them, and we've shown that humanity does not bow to fear. We may be shattered, but we are not broken. We rebuild, we grow stronger, and we fight again if we must. Across the fleet, crews shared stories of bravery. Pilots who had flown through hell, soldiers who had held their ground against impossible odds, engineers who had saved ships from destruction. Each tale added to the legacy of humanity's resilience. On the bridge of the Resolute, Voss addressed his fleet. Today, we survived because we were united. Today, we prove that humanity cannot be defeated by numbers or firepower alone. Courage, ingenuity, and determination define us. We are human, and we will endure no matter the darkness ahead. Somewhere, beyond the edges of explored space, sensors picked up faint movements, signals, perhaps from surviving alien scouts. The universe remained vast, dangerous, and uncertain. Humanity's victory was real, but temporary. New threats awaited, lurking in the shadows, waiting for the right moment. But for now, humanity had won. Ships glided through the void, carrying survivors, repairs, and hope. The fleet was battered, but alive. The colonies were safe, and the spirit of humanity burned brighter than ever. Voss looked at the stars again. He knew the war was far from over. But he also knew one truth. Humanity, no matter how small or fragile it seemed, would never give up, never surrender, never be broken. The day humanity's fleet had shattered the invasion would be remembered forever. Not for the ships lost, nor for the pain endured, but for the courage, brilliance, and unbreakable spirit of humanity. And in the darkness of space, among the wreckage and stars, a new chapter awaited. Humanity had survived, and it would rise again. The fleet had returned to the colonies, battered but alive. Humanity celebrated, repaired, and rebuilt. Pilots trained, engineers upgraded ships, and survivors shared tales of courage. Yet, even in this moment of victory, a shadow lingered beyond the stars. Admiral Kieran Voss stood on the observation deck of the Resolute, watching the dark expanse. Most of the alien fleet had been destroyed, but faint signals remained. Scouts, probes, perhaps survivors. Lieutenant Mira Tan approached him. "Sir, we're detecting unusual energy readings from beyond the rim. These aren't the aliens we just fought. Something else, massive, and it's moving toward known space." Voss's eyes narrowed. "Show me." On the holographic display, a dark anomaly pulsed across a distant sector. Its energy signature was unlike anything humanity had ever recorded. Not ships, not weapons. Something ancient, vast, and intelligent. Could it be another fleet? Voss asked quietly. Mira shook her head. "I don't think so. It's alive in some way, and it's heading straight for the colonies." Voss clenched his fists. Humanity had survived one invasion, but the universe was far from safe. This new presence was unknown, unstoppable, or so it seemed. "Prepare the fleet," he said. "We don't know what it is, or what it wants. But we are human. We adapt, we fight, and we survive. Get every ship ready. We strike first if we must. Humanity will not be caught unprepared." Across the colonies, alarms rang, and crews readied weapons. Humanity had faced impossible odds before, and they would face them again. The stars were dark. The threat was immense. But the human spirit burned brighter than ever. In the distance, the anomaly pulsed once more, a silent warning, or perhaps a challenge. Humanity had survived the day the fleet shattered the invasion. But a new chapter had begun, and the universe was far from done testing them. Voss gazed at the stars. We will meet whatever comes, and we will endure. Humanity is unbroken. Humanity is unstoppable. The void waited, vast and unknowable. And somewhere, beyond the reach of human sensors, a new threat stirred.